Since this week is kind of focused on videos and, creating and sharing videos, I'll be doing a video review of the movies I watched this week. I watched quite a few. I'll turn this sideways. I watched, it's called The Glass Castle, Minding the Gap, High School Musical 1 and 2, and I also watched Ant-Man and the Wasp. But for this review, I'll be talking about The Glass Castle and Minding the Gap, because they kind of connect a little bit. In The Glass Castle, we follow Brie Larson. She's a star. Her character, there's a past narrative and a present narrative, and it cuts back and forth between them in the movie. And we go through her upbringing, her upbringing with her siblings. Her family was really poor all of their lives, but her parents did the best to make the most of it, kind of coming up with interesting, creative ways to entertain their kids, take care of them. Not always the best. We see some of the not-so-great sides of the effects of poverty on their upbringing. Some of them are really bad. And we cut to the present day, and she's rich, and she has a lot of money, and her husband, or her fiance, is really wealthy, and this is a true story, by the way, based on it. And it just cuts in between her, and it focuses on the relationship with her and her father, pretty much, and how it's really strained at times. How as a kid she really looked up to him, and then she realized he wasn't doing all he could to take care of her and her brothers and sisters, because he was an alcoholic. And it cuts into the present day, where she's really doesn't have much to do with him and kind of avoids him. And there's some cliche elements to it. Maybe it's just because of the movie aspect. Maybe they Hollywooded it. But I really liked it. It didn't get very good reviews, but it was an enjoyable watch for me. I was entertained, and I think if you like kind of movies about family dynamics and rise and fall, it's pretty good. The other movie I watched was called Minding the Gap, and it was... I'll read the definition. It chronicles the lives and friendships of three young men growing up in Rockford, Illinois, united by their love of skateboarding, which is the very basic explanation of it, and it's really good. It follows three different guys, the filmmaker and his two friends, and it just talks about how they grew up, and it focuses a lot on the effect of their father figures in their lives and their upbringing, and how they're becoming men and what it means to become a man and masculinity. It talks a lot about it. Kind of goes into the topic of toxic masculinity and, again, like what it means to be a man, really. And they each had some pretty not great and interesting experiences with their dads growing up, and it's affected them all in various ways, some good, some not good at all. And we get interviews of them and their families, but it's not really that. It's not an interview type of movie. I mean, there are, but it's really kind of he takes the camera like into the lives of people and just kind of sees conversations and interactions with people, and you really see kind of how their feeling of what it means to be a man, and you kind of see how they've tried to fit the mold of what they think it means to be a man in their lives. And it was a really interesting kind of examination of it. And these two movies are kind of related, movie and documentary, because it talks about kind of toxic masculinity. The Glass Castle, the dad is an alcoholic and really stubborn, and he's a father figure, and that focuses a lot on the father-daughter dynamics. And then Minding the Gap focuses on father-son dynamics a lot. So it was kind of an interesting. I didn't even mean to watch or I didn't choose them because of that. So it was interesting to see that develop as I watched the second movie. Um, so that's it for now. I'm still kind of figuring out how best to do these reviews. I'm reading more about movie reviews and reading more reviews from professional critics to see the best way to go about it. And I'll talk more about this in my blog as well. I'm gonna include this though in the blog post just so it's obvious, so that it's clear that I have been watching movies and working on the review process. I'll definitely be getting more in depth, maybe doing only one movie or two, because I can't just watch movies as my ILP. I already did that anyway. But I think developing well, I'll talk more about that in the blog, but I'm definitely going to be reading up on how to make better, on how to structure a movie review and just things like that. So give the two. Glass Castle's on Netflix. Minding the Gap is on Hulu. So if you have either of those, I suggest you give them a look.